The City of Tshwane's revenue collection campaign is in full swing and will soon reach residential customers in suburbs, townships, complexes, including estates. So yesterday, the Club Crossing shopping centre in Centurion took the municipality to court and won after its services were disconnected. We get you the latest on the campaign. We're joined by Tshwane Executive Mayor, Mr. Randall Williams. A very good evening to you, sir, and thank you very much for joining us. How did we get to this point?
Good evening to you. Well, we got to this point because several factors. There's a long time of, I would call, disobedience by customers for not paying what is due to the cities. They consume services, but they consume it for free. And what we've done in the past, we had a very low-key debt collection policy implemented, whereby we would send you notices, we would plead with you to pay your accounts, and unfortunately it didn't happen, and we would send our contractors to disconnect you, and unfortunately sometimes they would disconnect you, sometimes they don't, because they get bribed. And if you look also the last 2 years, people use as a reason that we've had a pandemic, there's been an economic decline in the country. So, yeah, there's all types of reasons. But that is not the point. How do we get here? The point is, how do we move forward? And we've put a plan in place which we believe will change the finances of the city.
The City of Tshwane strategically and administratively is quite important for the country. Talk us through whether essential services have been impacted, I think, firstly.
Well, obviously, if you don't have sufficient capital, sufficient revenue available, you can't provide services at an optimal standard. You have to look at what finances you have available. And as you know, you have to live within your means. And unfortunately, that's not the case with many of the municipalities in South Africa. That's why you find, I think it's about 36 municipalities that merely exist on paper. They no longer function because they live beyond their means, and it's not sustainable. So that's why in the City of Tshwane, we have to tighten our belt. We have to go back to the drawing board, improve our revenue, cut down on expenditure.
Which government departments have been impacted, and what is the conversation there?
Look, we've everybody that owes us money that haven't been paying. We're collecting on our debtors book. That's over 17 billion rands. We've disconnected the Department of Education, Public Works, the Navy headquarters. But once we've disconnected them, then they cough up. And they come to payment arrangements. We ask for them to pay us a deposit and then arrange for a certain amount of money to be paid off each month. Not only them paying the monthly invoice that they receive, but also they have to pay off their arrear debt. So we're doing that. And you mentioned earlier in your intro the Crossing Mall. We had about 10 legal cases yesterday. And many of these businesses, what they do is they give us very late notice of their applications. Like in one instance, we received an application for an interim interdict against the city while the business was already in court. So we had no time to prepare. And if you look at all the judgments that have been handed down, these are all interim judgments. These are not final judgments. But a major case yesterday against Sheraton Hotel, we won the case. First of all, the judge determined that their application was not urgent. And secondly, the judge was satisfied that the City of Tshwane followed all due processes. So we're definitely going to continue with the disconnections where our debtors don't pay.
So let's come down to residents. Why has the city waited this long to take this action now? You did mention a little bit earlier on that people cannot use COVID as an excuse, yet, government is the first to point out that COVID has had a devastating impact, and economists also point out it's had a devastating impact on the country, a number of people losing their jobs. How to navigate that?
Well, of course, I sympathize with people, but if you're going to continue consuming electricity and water and we charge you 3,000 per month and you can't pay and you do that for 2 years, who's going to pay on your behalf? At the end of the day, we are going to have a failed city. Money doesn't grow on trees. Someone has to pay for it. And unfortunately, and by the way, we didn't start now with our debt collections. We've always been doing it. But as I said, it was low key. We would send you notices. We would plea with you to pay your arrear debt. But now we've changed our approach. It's a more visual public approach. We're in your face. We're very aggressive. So we want the money so that the city can function.
You speak of running the risk of becoming a failed city. Some have, or there's a school of thought that says, well, there will be no city with these cuts continue when it comes to businesses, not only government offices, which impact everyday people if they're not able to open and operate on a daily basis because there's no electricity and they're offline, all residents. Any regrets?
No, not at all. These businesses will continue to function. These businesses make profits. What we experience now is at the moment, only 56% of our customers pay their bill. 44% of them do not pay their bills. And the reason why they do not pay their bills is not because they're not able to do so. They're not willing to do so. For residents especially that cannot afford, we've got an indigent policy. And if you pass our tests, we provide you with free electricity and water. But when people are not on the indigent list, they are expected to pay.
You mentioned
if you work, for example, you expect to be paid a salary or wage. You don't work for free.
Not at all. You mentioned a little bit earlier on that some of the monies are being recovered. As it stands, we understand that some 17 billion rand is owed to the city. How much have you recouped?
Look, what we've done, we started the campaign on Tuesday. From Tuesday to Friday, we disconnected accounts that are in arrears to the value of 420 million rands. To date, we've collected 148 million rands. However, a number of businesses currently are busy entering into arrangements, agreements with the city. So businesses are scared that we are going to come for them. So they're coming forward now. So we expect the amount of 148 million rands to increase significantly.
In February of 2020, following a series of complaints from residents against the city of Tshwane, the public protector, as a result, launched an investigation which found that hikes in water and electricity bills in the city of Tshwane were caused by the city's failure to take meter readings regularly, and that was in response to issues of irregular electricity and water billing. Where that situation is concerned, are you satisfied, or have you satisfied yourselves as a city that you cannot be found wanting?
Well, there's a number of things there. First of all, there were about 70 account holders that complained to the public protector. We sent out almost 900,000 bills. So 70 complaints. It wasn't a crisis, but we did have a problem at the time. Under the administrators for that 8-month period, our meter readings fell to 25%. So 75% of the meters were being estimated, not actual readings. So we've put a plan in place. We're now at 85% of meter reading, which is still not high enough. We're going up to 95%. What we've also done, we've made available other channels for residents to submit their actual readings. Anyone can register on eTshwane via mobile phone, laptop, whatever means. You can register, you can submit your actual readings, and we will then bill you on your actual readings. What we further have done, we're changing the way we're going to deliver the services to the residents and to businesses. We're changing from a postpaid consumption to a prepaid meters. We've already installed 380,000 prepaid meters. We still have to install more than 600,000.
Mr. Williams, 70 complaints may not seem like a crisis, but do we need to let it get to crisis proportion for things to be considered or taken seriously. Perhaps just maybe in closing the conversation, we understand some embassies have also been affected by this, government departments. So what have been the conversations in terms of what they have told you and them not being able to offer services to people, which the city talks about delivering proper services to people?
Look, as far as embassies are concerned, there are no holy grails. We're disconnecting everybody. Everybody has an obligation to pay the city. If you consume our services, no matter who you are, you will have to pay, except for people that are registered on our indigent, in terms of our indigent policy. For them, we give a certain quota of free water and electricity. Everybody else will have to pay.
And the government departments in terms of conversations with the city?
Like I said, we've engaged with them, and where they've now committed to pay by entering into an arrangement with us, they have to give us a lump sum amount, plus we then work out monthly payments that are due to us, not only for them to cover their monthly bill, but also to cover the arrears.
Randall Williams is the Executive Mayor of Tshwane. Thank you very much for availing yourself this evening.